For you, what was the jump that took you into hypnotherapy from acupuncture?
Another great question. So, a patient of mine was coming in and she had a horrible trauma background. She was raving about the stuff she was doing. And when I found out it was based in hypnosis, I said, okay, I want to meet your person. And I did a trade with that person. I had seen two of the top hypnotists in Los Angeles. I have great respect for them. They're knowledgeable people. The hypnosis itself did not rock my world. This rocked my world. This was different. This was a more unique, efficient way to bypass the subconscious mind, at least in my experience, and having worked with so many people now, helping them get past whatever their big block is. I went and trained live with Marissa Peer. I did hundreds of hours of Dr. Joe because truth is truth is truth. When you start to understand, okay, this is how the subconscious mind works, this is how the brain works, this is how all this stuff works, then it just starts to become more second nature. You start to see what's tripping people up. And what's crazy is it doesn't matter so much what happens to us, it's our belief about ourself, the world, and other people. That's the thing that trips us up. So it's our belief. And right in the middle of the word belief is the word
lie.
Yeah. So many people are suffering because they're hanging on to some lie in the past, and so often it's not even within our awareness. So by talking somebody down into a relaxed state, I call it Googling the subconscious mind. You're using the emotions to find out what got stuck in there. When did it get stuck in there? What does that energy want and need? It's usually some form of, desperation, not feeling good enough, not feeling up to the task, feeling threatened in some way. So again, a message gets through that says, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, other people deserve it, good things I don't. Whatever that fake belief is can be worked with and upgraded. I always say people are like an iPhone 16 operating on iPhone 4 technology. And it really is that simple to rewire that, put in new programming. So when I'm done working with somebody, a pattern has become clear. I create them an audio tape that they listen to each and every night as they drift off to sleep to fire and wire the neural pathways that they do want. And the old ones that no longer serve them can be pruned off and dried and blown away.
Do you find that, so you said most people have fantastic results unless you're not willing to put to death the old stuff.
Very few percentage of people that just won't let go of their old story.
And why though? So I want to go back to that just a little bit. Like, is it just like a reluctancy? Because it's like, don't think of pink elephants. Like, you know what I mean?
I use that all the time in my work, by the way.
Okay, so
all the time.
That same thing, or it's like, that joke where you're like, oh, settle down. I just want to be calm. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like the George Costanza character.
Exactly.
What did he say? Serenity now. Yeah, serenity now.
It's like 100%, right? And there's like an element of that, right? Because you even mentioned with beliefs, the lie.
Well, like if somebody's a worrier and they say, okay, I need not to worry. I don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't be anxious. It's again, don't think of a pink elephant. Don't think of a pink elephant.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have to replace that with something that's other than that.
So it's swapping it out.
But it's, again, it's very strategic. It's like if that person's having an emotion and a neurological pattern that's going on, you need to find out what that is. And then, okay, what is it trying to accomplish? And then, I'm not accomplishing that as an iPhone 4. If I was the iPhone 16 that I currently am, then I could do that. But any change is uncomfortable. So there has to be that commitment to change, that willingness to stop being the old you, because there's the cortisol, there's the adrenaline, there's the whatever, feeling the shame, feeling the blame, that there's a payoff to that. So you do have to be willing to let that go and become that other person, which just by definition, because it's different, has a level of discomfort. I worked with a gal once that had lifelong anxiety. She called me up the day after the first session. She says, I feel like I'm high. Am I supposed to feel this way? And I said, yeah, that's what it feels like to not be anxious all the time.
It's like normal life. Yeah.
So again, just because the unfamiliar is uncomfortable at first, you just have to be desirous of that and celebratory of it. So once you go, oh, wow, this is what it feels like to be relaxed, even though it's uncomfortable, just celebrate the fact that it's happening, because then your brain gets the message, okay, this is what he wants. This is what she wants. She wants more of this stuff, and not that old stuff.
Okay, and it's trying to solve a problem, but it's just going about it the wrong way.
Well, again, 90 to 99% of our mind is subconscious, which is by definition below the level of consciousness. So trying to solve a problem with 5 to 10% of your brain for most people is pretty futile.
So practicality wise, like what are some of the frameworks that you would ensue to get in there, right? So you had mentioned a relaxed state, right? So you walk them through.
Yeah, so I give
down,
people a
calm.
practice audio, very, very simple. Anybody that's advanced meditator or just, is all used to getting into alpha won't have any difficulty. I mean, it's just a natural state. You're watching television, you're in alpha, you're focusing on something, you're meditating, you're relaxed, you're drifting in and out of sleep, you're in alpha or that high theta, and that's trainable. God knows we did a almost 5-hour meditation. You're already really good at this.
Yeah.
So you talk somebody into that relaxed state, and then you start asking questions that, again, target when did this get installed? Why did it get installed? How did it get installed? What does it need? What does it want? And then it can get what it needs as an iPhone 16 rather than an iPhone 4. Imagine a child who's being traumatized. Parents are fighting. They can't do anything. Pick whatever traumatic event a child might go through. What are they going to do? They're going to clench their teeth. So sometimes they get people who, have TMJ that have tried everything and hasn't resolved it. And people with migraine headaches. Again, that neck and shoulder tension. What is a kid going to do? It's going to tense up.
Yeah.
And those patterns can fire and wire throughout the course of a lifetime. I've worked with people that have, nearly ground their teeth down into nothing.
The teeth grinding is hard for me. Yeah.
And I've had people with chronic debilitating daily seizures, and in 3 sessions they were, mostly free of them. I had one gal who was attacked by a Rottweiler, had to go through 6 jaw surgeries, was living in pain and fear of losing more teeth. She had developed a choking disorder. Every time she ate, she was at risk of going to the hospital. Her husband contacted me and says,
Wait, what's a choking disorder? Like her body would instinctually go into choking?
Yep, and she'd have to go to the ER.
Every time she ate food?
She was at risk of that.
Okay.
Not every single time, but
like an anaphylactic type shock?
It was a reflex that had developed as a result of this whole pain, fear syndrome.
Yeah.
And her husband contacted me and said, "Can you help her?" And I said, "Bring her in." 2 sessions, she didn't have that problem anymore. So she's on my YouTube channel. Her name's Julie. She had 3 young kids. It still does, but they're a little older now. And this was a huge drain on the family, as you can imagine. Another gal that I worked with, Julie Beth, she saw her husband catch on fire. He's fine, but it ignited PTSD, mold, babesia, mast cell inflammation, all very, very tricky things to try to solve. She became allergic to everything but 5 foods. So her world was very, very compressed and very, very fearful. She didn't even want to come see me because this was weird and strange. But her husband said, "Look, you either have to go to a mental institution or you have to go see Tara." Fortunately, she came to see me.
Yeah, right.
And in the first session, she was able to experience more peace than she had experienced in her entire lifetime. Again, the key and the trick was just to go back to where did these beliefs get installed.
Identifying what it is. Exactly.
Yeah, but on a visceral level. It's not a okay, let's sit down and think, where did this go? It's like, okay, feel that feeling, and then, guiding the subconscious mind almost as if you're in a daydream, where did this get started?
Okay.
What was the origin of this? And then the subconscious mind can just bubble up the answers. It's like people are sitting in a movie theater. They might be thinking, they might be seeing things, they might be hearing things, they might be remembering things. They might just be having sensations in their body. There are no wrong answers. That's the beauty of it. I don't have to figure it out. They don't have to figure out. Again, that's that 5 to 10% of the conscious mind that just isn't that useful. But once we connect to that subconscious mind that is, running trillions of bits of information, we're able to get deeper, faster results.
This sounds like a personally, I don't want to, like a realization for you. So when you're doing acupuncture, you're minding your own sweet business, you're doing your own thing, and then you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Right? So what did that do in you for your own life?
So it's interesting. I love applied kinesiology, so I would often muscle test on people. Is this a mental, emotional, physical, or spiritual problem? 9 times out of 10, it would be a spiritual one, which was really interesting.
Within acupuncture or just
within
generally?
acupuncture, yeah. And acupuncture does affect the mind, body, and spirit. But I just found that it's so elegant to go into that massive subconscious mind and upgrade the patterns that are stuck. So whether it's somebody not feeling worthy, not feeling confident, I work with people with phobias. I had one gal that was terrified of snakes. If she even saw a picture of a snake show up on her phone, she'd hurl her phone across the room. And, she couldn't go on hikes with her family. She couldn't enjoy the outdoors. She was terrified of a snake showing up. I was thinking, okay, well, did an anaconda, almost eat her when she was a young child?
yeah.
Nothing like that. She was at a school assembly when she was younger, and they had to go and pet a boa constrictor before they left.
Okay.
She was so terrified to have to do that she escaped out of the back of the auditorium and never got anywhere near the snake.
Followed her
but
for the
the
rest of her
fear
life.
was there. So all we did, we took 2 sessions, we just rewired it, and now she's going into nature and spending time with her family in the outdoors. I did want to do a 3rd session and actually bring a snake over and put it in her lap.
I mean, that is the classic origin story of Tony Robbins as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, with his NLP, which was pseudoscience until it wasn't, right? And
there's
currently
a reason he gets $1 million for 8 hours of his time.
Yes, right.
And I've studied hundreds of hours of his stuff as well. And he knows his stuff. And he says, people think he's a motivational teacher. He says he's not at all. He is a pattern recognizer.
I would say Joe probably would say the same thing as well. Right.
Joe Dispenza?
Yeah, about himself. Right. Well, all of them. Joe Vitale, Joe Dispenza, they're not like rah motivation. They're like identify the weed people and pull it out.
Yes.
As Joe always says, right? We don't pray our weeds away. We pull them out.
Yes.
And Joe versus Tony. Tony's more matter to matter, and Joe is more like we're going in there. We're going the quantum to pull the weed out, right? And maybe we can shorten the distance.
I know he gets into quantum physics, which is a whole
to the non-initiated. It's like right.
But it's fun. You have to admit, it's really fun.
It is really fun, and the thought experiments that are now no longer thought experiments is what caught my attention.
What's going on, guys? If you like that clip right there, you will love the full interview. You can check that out right there. I'll see you on the next video. Oh, and subscribe because we got a lot of big things coming up in the near future.